Hi everyone, this is Claire and today I'll be covering a topic on project analysis. I've done a couple of projects since last year right now. So today we're going to cover special project because it's in the CCR region. The ones I've covered, actually most of them are in the OCR RCR region. So something special, this is One Marina Gardens that's launching at the end of this month. So a lot of people might ask like, hey, actually city projects don't really make money, right? So is that a problem? And that's something we want to address today, right? Today we're not going to be talking too much about floor plans, but instead we will cover a bit more on rentability, right? A lot of it is on rentability. So in terms of layouts, floor plans, whether future demand will like the particular layout for a particular reason, that's not so much of a factor here. In One Marina Gardens, what we want to focus on is what's the yield you can potentially get, and also can you exit at a safe price or not. Yeah, so in this case, we can throw out a bit of the emotions because in the OCR and RCR region, we know that some people they buy into a project. For example, Jadescape 5 Beta, right? The first owner made $1 million. This kind of returns that you can get, it's more like an emotional buyer coming in to buy the unit. But in the city area, you realize that actually there are some buyers that don't even need to see the unit, right? They want to be able to know that I enter at this price, this is the yield that I can potentially get, and then they would just buy. It doesn't matter high floor, low floor as well. So in this case, we want to throw out a bit of the emotions and we want to see facts and figures, right? So that's what we're going to explore today. So today I'm going to cover location, fact sheet, because it's also a new town. So I hope you guys can understand a bit, get some clarity on where this is going and with the government plans and all that. We'll cover a bit of the unit mix, site plan, floor plans a little bit, just covering based on 1 beta, 2 beta, what you can expect. But the more important thing is looking at rental demand and also looking at rental yield. And at the same time, because this developer is Kingsford, and if you guys know what they did with Trump Park, I want to be able to share some balloting techniques that you can expect if you want to go for a project like that. I'll give a brief summary of what we want to focus on this project. Okay, so location is situated at Marina South MRT, right above Marina South MRT. And if you look around the area all the way from Marina South to Gardens by the Bay, it's one stop away. We will expect to see another 16 plots all around this area where the government wants to build a new township. So what it means by new township, we will expect childcare services, we will expect a mall. That means your F&B options are there, your groceries are there. Basically, they want to be able to bring some residential people, locals, couples coming into the town. So this is the very first plot that we can expect. You're kind of like in the first mover advantage because we will be facing a lot more developments all around the area. So at this point, you will see the view of Gardens by the Bay over here, and you will the view of MBS if you are facing over on this side. And then the other side over here is more like facing the coast, right? So all this is on the entire coast really. So later I'll zoom in a bit on the site plan. Well, not too much. Today we're just going to talk a lot more about the rentability and the rental yield. So exercise this, right now they're building already the foundation. So you can see that the MRT is right here, over on this side, the view towards MBS over on this side, the view towards Gardens by the Bay is over on this side, and then all these empty plots of land will be future developments that the government wants to be able to build to bring locals into the city. So this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be a bunch of mixed-use developments integrating an array of amenities. So you can expect F&B, your MRT is right downstairs, your restaurant, supermarket, and all that should be you kind of self-sufficient in that town itself. Also, it's going to be, because it's integrated with the MRT, I think they're going to build some corridors here that you can walk by, and then everything else in the tall high-rise buildings will mostly be residential developments. Okay, roughly what's going to look like, there will be a pedestrian mall where you can expect some malls over on downstairs on the first floor, right? There will be developments here all around this entire town. There are 16 plots in total, and then there are kind of public spaces that you can walk through, right? So between this here on this end and the end over here, you will see that it's connected by one MRT stop. So in terms of the space, you realize actually it can be quite huge, right? For 16 plots to be on it, and it's quite exciting in a way where this is the first plot that we can expect. Okay, so One Marina Gardens, this is by Kingsford development, right? The one that did Trump Park, right? There are 3 blocks in total, but there will be 937 units and 3 shops, 1 restaurant, and 1 childcare center. Okay, so TOP expected to be 2029, and this is in the District 1. And in terms of parking lots, there is about half of them, so we don't expect that in the city a lot of people are going to buy for own stay, even though that's what the government wants to target towards. But what we want to maybe expect is 80% of them will be for rental mostly. Okay, because in terms of location, it's relatively close to the CBD as well, right? So we can expect that there will be quite a lot of rental demand coming in and out, especially when this is the newest development you can expect. Unit mix, you realize that as compared to the RCR and OCR region, the unit mix is kind of like inverted in this case, right? So primarily you get 1 and 2 bedrooms, right? You also got a 3-bedroom dual key, which I'll talk about later, as the second smallest unit for the 3-bedroom, and then after that the rest of it is 3-bedroom and 4 bedrooms, right? So if you're staying there, for instance, right, if you're looking at a 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom, you just really want to stay in the city and you want a new option, this is something you can look out for. But you can expect that actually there will be a lot of tenants coming into this area, right? So there'll be the ins and outs every few years you see that. So this is a site plan. Here the 4 bedrooms are of course having the best views for the Marina Bay Sands and also the Gardens by the Bay view, right? But everything else is kind of like either you still get pool view on both sides. Here is more like the noisier side, but in future there will be more developments happening around here. Okay, so the main question we want to answer today is if you're coming to One Marina Gardens, you are likely coming in for rentability and rental yield, right? So what would be the One Marina Gardens expected rental yield upon TOP? I think that's something we want to explore, and I will cover projects across the region, and then we deep dive and see what we can expect for One Marina Gardens, and then you can decide if this is a good option for you. So we're kind of comparing a little bit about OCR, RCR and CCR pricing, right? I wanted to give a good overview of what you can expect if you want to enter into OCR, CCR for rental yield versus if you want to enter purely looking at rental and be able to get the 4% or 5% that you're thinking about, versus RCR, OCR property, which one might be the best for you. So overall rental PSF in the city does beat the rest of the region for good reasons as well, because a lot of the working crowd expects they are focusing a lot on the city, right? Foreign talent keeps coming in as well. So ideally somebody who comes in for a good 2 years or to 5 years, they would expect to want to stay in the city instead of outskirts. So travelling is a key factor here, right? So in the CCR region, you realize that actually consistently it is way above the OCR and CCR region. So if today you're looking at rentability and rental yield, to be able to get a tenant fast as well and a good profile of tenant in terms of being a professional and all that, then CCR does sit on above the rest for those reasons. Okay, so let's deep dive a bit on the Marina area, right? So Marina area, there in terms of residential, not many, but there is the sale at Marina Bay, right? They are kind of looking at about $7 per square foot, and the yield is about 4.3%, right? So in investors' mind, I think what we want to assume today in today's conversation is understanding that actually a lot of the people coming in just purely looking at rental, they're looking at above for at least 4%. Okay, anything above is a bonus. Anything below, they might not want to consider. There are other asset classes or other forms of properties that might give you that kind of yield. Okay, for Marina 1 residences, you see that it's also $7 per square foot. But why is the rental yield so low, right? So okay, we're gonna uncover that, right? And that's why I think looking at One Marina Gardens, if you're looking to enter something just purely for investment of a lower quantum, then your entry price is very important. Okay, so in this case, you see that the sale at Marina, both are also $7 per square foot, right? Sizes are a bit different, but you realize that actually the main point that I want to cover is actually the entry price that you enter, right? So this is easily 300k more, right? And because of the quantum difference, right, your yield is much lower, right? So One Marina Gardens not performing that well, also because the entry price is very high, and then because of the entry price, the rental that you get is about the same in terms of per square foot. That makes your yield like way below 4%, right? So that's something that's not so attractive from an investor point of view. So in this case, when we look at overall expanding a bit outwards, when we see Marina Bay and then towards the Tanjong Pagar area, we have Altis, we have Icon and the Cliff, some examples, right? And also Sky Suites and Anson, right? The sizes for the 1 bedrooms there in Tanjong Pagar, they also go around $7 to $8 per square foot, right? And the yields are quite pretty decent, right? 4.4% to 4.7%. Right, but Sky Suites and Anson is a special case. It's also quite near where the whole Tanjong Pagar city is, right? But their sizes are actually 300 to 400 square feet. And as a result of that, for me to be able to rent out at the same quantum as these guys over here, right, my PSF will go up. right? And that is good because based on the entry price that you're entering into, right, your yield is actually 5.5%. So Sky Suites, for instance, if you're looking at, okay, I don't want to go into Marina Gardens, I want to look at something that is straight up, I can get rental. I want to pay full cash 1 to 1.2 million. I want to be able to collect rental as soon as possible. Then this might be an option for you. Okay, but today we're going to cover a bit more of One Marina Gardens and see whether it's a wise decision for you and for you to be able to gain some clarity on what you're going into for this project. Okay, so for OMG, because the one bedrooms are also starting from 431 square feet, we will look at the estimates based on this. Okay, so for OMG, looking at price estimates of average of $10 to $11 per square foot for the one bedrooms, especially. Average rental you can expect for the one bedrooms, we are about 4,003 to 4,006. 4,006 would sit conservatively in the middle range, so $10.50 per square foot. Okay, so we're expecting rental yield to be estimated about 4 to 5.5% depending on entry price, right? So that's why I say the entry price is very important coming into OMG, and there is a point where you decide that, okay, it's not going to make sense anymore. One, I may not get any price appreciation, for example, and two, I may not get the yield that I want, right, which is target 4%, right? Both these cases are valid for a buyer coming in to OMG as a first buyer, right? But we also need to consider for your future buyer what they will be coming in from an investor mindset, and the baseline is easily 4%. Okay? So let me explain further. So one bedroom OMG, the typical layout, I would say it's not a studio. This is a harmonized project, by the way. So 431 square feet, you can expect a proper bedroom. 8 AC latch is not non-strata, so exactly this entire space that you can expect is 431 square feet. Okay, so the layout's not very important. So in like I mentioned earlier, I will not be covering too much of the layouts here today, but more of the numbers that we want to zoom in on. So one bedroom at One Marina Gardens will be starting from 1.16. That puts our PSF is around 2007, I would say. Okay, 2007 is actually a bit more like the RCR price already. So from an investor perspective, coming into a PSF that's so low, that might make sense, but let's uncover a little bit more later. Okay, so 1.16, right, the PSF sits at about 2007. If you expect a rental yield of rental of 4,006 per month, rental PSF is sitting around $10 to $11, which is what we really see happening in Sky Suites Anson for a smaller unit. So that for an entry price, let's say you super lucky, your Q number is number 1, you can potentially get something in this range, then your rental yield will be 4.7%, right? So there is room for you to move around with such entry price. Okay, but let me explain a bit further, right? The baseline for investors will be 4%, right? So there are two ways that this can happen. For example, okay, scenario 1 is price adjustment, and let me explain a bit further. Today, if let's say you bought One Marina Gardens at 1.3 million, you rent out for 2 years at 4.6 per month, right? And that puts your rental yield at 4.2%, right? In this case, if the baseline for a future buyer coming in and wanting to invest in this property, in my head, as a future buyer of yours, I want to be able to get at least 4%. Okay, so that's the baseline, right? And for you to get 4%, yes, I can actually make an adjustment in terms of the price in a positive manner where I gain about $80,000 on the property for one bedroom and OMG, and I can still be able to have the future investor, right, buy at a 4% yield. Okay, so that's one case scenario. One, the price has to adjust either upwards or downwards just to be able to meet this 4% yield. Okay, the other case scenario is based on the same assumptions. Let's say today I bought at 1.5 million, right? For example, like the Marina One residences, okay? And I rented it out at 4,008 per month, and then that makes my rental yield at only 3.8%. So from the investor point of view, let's say today you are the owner of this, okay? You bought at 1.5, you have been renting out at 4,008 consistently for the past 2 years, for example, right? Your yield is not so good, 3.8%. For me to come in to buy your unit, right, and I need to be able to see that, the rental can go up to 5,000, then I would be willing to enter, right? So there are two ways to do this. One, the price has to adjust. Two, the rental has to adjust, either upwards or downwards, just to be able to meet this 4% rental yield. So that's the whole concept around here. And then we want to zoom in on what happens in in the developments that today, right, using this principle of this, right? So that means the baseline of investors coming into the city and renting the place out, obviously, will be 4%. Okay. So in this case, Marina One Gardens, Marina One Residences. Okay. So they entered. These people entered at about 2,324 per square foot. Right. They are 1 bedroom, slightly bigger. Okay, but the entry price, you realize that it got some 1.7, 1.8, 1.7, and you realize that at this kind of price range that you enter into, your yield is maybe about 3.2 to 3.5%, right? So in this case, like what I mentioned earlier, something has to adjust. Either the price has to adjust or the rental has to adjust. If in this case the rental cannot adjust, right, then the price will drop to match the 4% rental yield. So in this case, you see that a lot of the Marina One residences, people who own Marina One residences, they don't make profit, right? In fact, they make a loss, right? If I had bought this unit at 1.48 range, 1.5, I would have gotten 4% rental yield. So this is what I mean, right? The price has to adjust for me to be able to match a 4% rental yield for the future buyer coming in. So what happens if, let's say my entry price is super low, right? For example, the sale at Marina Bay. The sale at Marina Bay, if some people like, hey, actually, sale at Marina Bay make profit, but why do they make profit, right? The answer is here. The entry price that they enter into is way lower for a 1 bedroom, about the same size, right? Of course, timing is different, the holding period is different, right? But what we want to share in terms of the concept over here is that your entry price, as long as the entry price is low, you should see some good profit, even though the period might be a bit longer. So of course, if I compare the OCR region, RCR region versus the CCR region, in this area, you're not really looking in terms of appreciation, right? You're maybe looking at more of how much rental can I get, and one, if I take a loan, how much positive cash flow can I get every month? Two, if I don't take a loan, how long does it take for me to break even? Okay, so in this case, this guy actually, these two buyers, they bought at less than 1 million. They let go 16-17 years later. They probably have broken even on the rental itself if they have paid full cash, and then make a good decent profit. So I guess that in terms of the play here, or the game that you're playing here, is really purely more for investors and not for own stay. Okay, so as we go ahead, if you look at the 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, the same concept. Some of the 4-bedroom and Marina Bay has made some money, but the holding period will be a bit longer than if you want to go to OCR and RCR if the demand pool is stronger. Okay, so I'll cover a bit later on that. Right, so in the sale at Marina Bay, the prices hold and actually appreciate to be able to keep to the 4% rental yield. So in this case, if I bought at this price, if I sell at 1.2, 1.3, these buyers over here can still be able to get a 4% rental yield. Then that's safe really, right? So you know that if let's say your entry price is low at this kind of range, right? I want to exit at 1.3, 1.4, that is still safe because the future buyer coming in still can get the 4% rental yield. Okay, so I hope this is clear. So coming into OMG, I've broken down the prices starting from price and then all the way stagger up to see at which point you think that you should not enter. Okay, so in this case, starting from price 1.16, if you get a 4,600 rental per month, your yield is the best at 4.7%, right? So this, if you just nice, you got a very good Q number, then I think this is something, it's just purely for investment point of view. Yes, there's a good chance for price appreciation and also a safer exit in future. Okay, then we move on to 1.2, right? 1.2 at the same rental price, your rental yield is just down by 0.1%, so still okay to enter, right? At 1.3 million, 100k more, the same rental, sorry, this is 4,006 at the same, 4,006, your rental yield goes down to 4.2%. Then, if we stagger upwards again, at 1.35 is a sweet spot where your same rental, your rental yield is about 4%, right? So in this case, at this point of time, I would think that you will be able to exit safe, but maybe no price appreciation. But you still be able to get a good rental yield in the whether 3 to 5 years of you renting it. Okay, when it comes to 1.4, 1.5, then you realize that actually the rental yield is 3.39, 3.8. So in this case, you might be falling into the case of Marina One residences where you may need to drop your exit price for you to be able to have a buyer come in to buy into your unit. Okay, so that's it for the one bedroom. So summary of the one bedroom is there is a threshold of where you should not buy, in my opinion. But there are safe entry prices that you can consider for the one bedroom, especially because a lot of it primarily is on the one bedroom, two bedrooms, right? So if you're coming in really looking for investors, you will know that investors will their purely baseline is looking at 4%. So we got to work around with that number, right? So if you're unclear of how to work around that number, how I got the rental yield and how I got the numbers all from the entry price to the renter and the rentability, you can reach out to me. I can break it down a bit for you. But I think this, whatever that I shared earlier with whether the price can hold at this kind of rental, how I justify the rental at $10 per square foot, and the rental yield, this should be quite clear for you to get the understanding of where you should enter and where maybe you should not enter or look at something else. Okay, so now we come to the 2-bedroom. 2-bed, 2-bath, there's only starting from 2-bed, 2-bath, there is no 2-bed, 1-bath in OMG, right? So the difference here is 646 is the smallest one, there's an open concept kitchen, right? And 667 with an enclosed kitchen, right? So with the difference like that in terms of the rental, if you ask me, in the CCR region, there should not be any difference in terms of the rental yield, right? Like for example, as a tenant, I wouldn't care if it's open concept or an enclosable kitchen, right? However, if you're buying this for own stay and you really want to stay in the city, then I would think that this layout for future people coming in, I want to be able to stay in this unit, then this one with the enclosed kitchen may be a bit more favorable. But yet again, right now here what we are doing is we're not targeting own stay buyers so much at this point of time, right? The new township that the government has announced about the whole Marina Bay, Marina South area will take time to develop. That's one. So holding power needs to be strong. At the same time, in terms of future buyers coming in, I don't think there will be such a strong demand as compared to OCR RCR region. Okay. Other layouts, 2-bed, 2-bath, there is an open concept kitchen with study. So this one is an open concept kitchen over here, and then there's a tuck-in study. I believe it comes with the aircon as well, right? And then this one is an open concept kitchen, a little bit L-shaped, right? And then when you come in, there is a wider area in terms of the living dining, right? So you can potentially put your dining over here as well, and then you still got quite a big space for living area. Between all these layouts, 2-bed, 2-bath, 646, 667, 657 and 678, the rental will be about the same, right? So in this case, I would say if you're coming 2-bed, 2-bath, you have a bit more higher budget, then just go for the lowest quantum. More 2-bed, 2-bath, 700 plus square feet in the 700 range. There is a home shelter over here. There's a home shelter over here. If you ask me, is there a difference between a 2-bed, 2-bath with a home shelter or not, I would say it's going to be about the same as well, right? Between the one with the study and the one with the home shelter, I think in terms of rentability, it's going to be the same. But if you're buying for this purely for own stay, then choose the layout that you would like, which I think a 2-bedroom with a home shelter is rare, and closable kitchen will be ideal as well, right? So both layouts in this case, if you're buying for own stay and you have a budget and you really want to stay in the city, then I think these two layouts will be the best. So the next question is, if you're buying this for two bedroom, starting from 1.8 million, do layouts actually really matter, right? So if you look at Altes and Lumia, right, there are two different layouts over here. The living dining area and the kitchen is also open concept. This one, in this case, they have kind of modeled into a home office area, discussion room if people want to rent it for home office, right? And this one has a store, also open concept kitchen, but it's kind of like a weird walkway to the bedroom, and 2 bedrooms as well. So I wouldn't think that all these layouts actually really matter at all. So really in the CCR region, the layouts won't affect the yield, but what will affect the yield is really your entry price. Okay, so 2 bedrooms starting from 1.81 million, right? So we want to compare actually Marina 1 bedroom, there was a transaction that came up to 1.9. The others are maybe about 1.5, that range, right? But because they're bigger in size, so what I'm comparing here is Marina 1 bedroom versus OMG 2 bedroom at 667 square feet. So if I today enter at 1.81 million, I assume the per square foot is about 10 to 10.5. That gives you $7,000 a month. Versus if I go for Marina 1 at a higher price and it's a couple of years already right now, in terms of the age of property, definitely I'll be able to get a better yield with 2 bedrooms. That's 2 bedroom, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, definitely your rental for 2 bedroom will be much higher, right? So same theory holds for by finding a good price to enter. If you find a good price to enter at 1.8, and with this kind of rental it's about $7,000 a month, right, your yield is pretty decent. Okay, so same thing, coming to OMG, entry price is bottom. This is for 2 bedroom case scenario at 1.81. If I rent it at 7,000 a month, actually this whole range until the 2 million mark, there is a good price, good chance of price appreciation, and also a relatively safer exit. But if I come into 2.1, 2.3, in terms of rentability, yes, it's still there, right? But the price may not hold for you, and it may be the same case scenario as Marina One residences. So if you're an investor coming in, I would think the prices here would be a bit more reasonable for you to enter, right? Anything above the 2.2 million mark, I would think there are other options to consider, right? But it really depends on your objective. Today, I just want to look at rental yield alone and no price appreciation. Then yes, coming in at 2.1, I still can get 4% rental yield. That's okay for me, right? But when I exit at 2.1, maybe I'll sell to the next person at 2.1 million. Or if I can get a higher rental, 8,000, which I think is a little bit hard, right? Then I can be able to command a little bit higher in terms of the price, right? So we're looking at $7,000 a month for 2 bedroom here. The rental yield is about 4%. So I would think this is where you reconsider whether this option is good for you or not. But same thing for 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, the same concept holds. If you're unclear of which point that you want to exit, you want to not walk away and decide not to go for it, or you are looking at I have a 2.2 million budget, I have a 2.3 million budget, or I have a 2.4 million budget, what are the other options out there that you can consider? You can feel free to reach out to me. I do have in mind what other options you can get, but it really depends on your objective as well. So coming to 3 bedroom, we're starting from 2.46 million as a compact 3 bedroom, and today if you see the compact 3 bedroom park now has also reached 2.5 million. You see the Alta in the OCR region, you see RCR region, also same thing, like the compact 3 bedrooms have also hit this kind of pricing, right? So coming into CCR in Marina South, where you get good views as well, if you're buying this for own stay, looking at this is actually quite, in terms of price, is quite reasonable. Okay, not talking about exit, just looking at the price on itself. Okay, so this is a compact 3. There is a home shelter. Some compact 3s that you see, compact 3 bedrooms that you see may not even hold a home shelter, but of course the kitchen is slightly smaller but functional. Okay, then you got 1, 2, 3 bedrooms on this side, and then there is a 1066, which is a bit more. There is it's a portrait living room, comes with a dry kitchen and home shelter. So home shelter over here, dry kitchen as you enter. So kitchen is quite sizable. There's also a 1173 square feet that comes with a landscape, a long living dining area where you can maybe position your dining over here, so you got a bit more space over here to play with. Comes with a longer kitchen and also a walk-in wardrobe in the master. So if you've seen Trump Park, is something like that. There's a walk-in wardrobe in the master as well, and this comes at 1173 square feet. Okay, and then there's a 3 bedroom premium for people who really want to buy, really into for own stay. I think this layout is quite not too bad. You can same thing, put a dining over here. It's a long landscape living dining area. You got a foyer for privacy. You got dry, wet kitchen, yard, home shelter, and a WC at the back. Right, so functional. When you come into the master bedroom, same thing like Trump Park, you get a walk-in wardrobe. And then this is what I want to focus on, a 3-bed dual key. Today, if you're looking at 3 bedroom and you have a little bit more in terms of budget, looking at about, let's say 2.8 million, right? This layout will be, in my opinion, for OMG especially, people coming in may not be looking for own stay. There will be a very small group of people looking for own stay here. The rest will be looking for investors. And the 3-bed dual key here in the city will move faster than everywhere else, right? If you look at Alta today, look at Ori. Ori, the dual key started moving at the later part of the day, right? During the launch day. Alta, you realize that actually there are only 2 dual key units that have been sold. Right? So dual key units are not easy to sell in the market, especially in the RCR and OCR region. And the reason is because there's a niche group of people who want to live there, right? So one, there's multi-generation home, where you have your parent living with you, right? And you want a bit more privacy, then the dual key layout works. And coming to CCR, right, the demand for dual key is really, for investors, they would love it if you have a better budget. Then a 3-bed dual key at 969 square feet might work for you, because one, you can rent out one to one person over here in the studio. There's a kitchenette, I would say. There's a bath. And then there's a balcony as well. Okay, then you can rent out the other 2 bedrooms to a couple or someone else, to another group of tenants, right? All they do is they just share the foyer. Okay, in this case, why dual key only makes sense in the city centre is because people coming in is really looking at purely rental, right? So today, if I can rent out the studio at 4,500 at 1 bedroom kind of rental, and the rental for 2 bed is around 7,000, right? In total, on the amount of rental I can get, the yield is almost at 5%, right? So this kind of yield is attractive from an investor point of view. Right, but for example, in the OCR region, RCR region, why the dual key units, whether is it 4-bedroom dual key or 3-bedroom dual key, move so slowly is because there's a really niche group of buyers that will want to stay in that kind of setup. Okay, and in this case, in the CCR region, I don't care. I don't really bother about layout. I just want to be able to know how much rental can I get for studio, how much rental can I get for 2-bed. And if I enter at 2.8 million, for example, at 2,009 per square foot, which is kind of in the middle range by now, the rental is at 5%, right? So can you imagine if you had, maybe you can get it slightly lower than this kind of per square foot, then your rental yield will go up to more than 5%. Okay, so this is attractive. I would think that in terms of choice by rank, choose from an investor point of view, look at the 3-bed dual key first, right? Then the smallest 3-bedroom, because smallest equals low entry equals higher yield from an investor point of view. Then you move on to the bigger ones, right? But obviously there are people looking for own stay, just that the group is slightly smaller, right? But in terms of the layout, I think this one's a bit functional as well, right? And then the entry price is also lower. Okay, so this is what we covered just now in the content page, right? I wanted to share a little bit about the balloting tips and tricks, especially with Kingsford. Okay, this is specific to the developer. So Ori have a different price strategy. When you look at how they do the per floor jump, you look at Alta, MCL also has a different price strategy, which is the same as what they did with Nava Grove, right? So you can kind of see the pattern in terms of how the developer are pricing the units, right? So Kingsford, if you had somehow joined in the balloting for Trump Park and you were looking at Trump Park at that point of time, you realize that there is a first floor price for the 2 bedrooms, right? I forgot what the price was. But at the 3rd floor, the developer actually jumped 130,000, right? It was a little bit of a hook at that point of time where they priced it at, I think it was 1.58 million for a 2-bedroom. If I'm not wrong. So they delivered their promise to say, okay, starting from I have a $1.58 million dollars price tag of one unit, for example. Then the next unit I straight away jump 130,000, right? So what we want to do for Kingsford, when we look at the price strategy coming into OMG, right, is step 1 over here. Step 1, if let's say I'm looking at stack 10, for example, right? Just random stack 10. I want to see on level 1, level 3, and level 5. What is the price jump between here and here and here and here, right? If there's a consistent jump, then it's okay. Because for Kingsford, right, they look a little bit on premium facing. That means if the unit faces a better view, they have a little bit of loading on the facing, right? But on the terms of per floor jump, they don't increase much, right? So there are some developers that increase. They have a per floor jump of like 12,000, 13,000 even, right? But in this case, it's quite consistent. Like there is 4,000. I believe for Trump Park it was 4,500 for 2 bedrooms. Then every floor jump it goes up to 5,000 for 3 bedrooms, right? So in this case, if you look at Kingsford, okay, one, they had this for the development that they launched previously, right? The other thing is the per floor jump is not significant. So when it's not significant, what does it mean? It means that I buy low floor, I buy high floor. Actually, high floor also quite worth it because I get a better view. In terms of future buyers, if let's say it's on stay coming in, I feel good also buying a high floor unit, and you're buying a premium floor without paying a premium for it, right? Because there are some developers that you can buy a high floor for easily another 300k jump, right? So in my next video, when I talk about harmonization versus non-harmonization, I'm going to cover a little bit on the per floor jump, and then you can get a bit more understanding. So feel free to subscribe to my channel if you want to get good updates on my topics as well. Okay, so back to this Kingswood. So one, they have a loading on certain levels. Two, the per floor jump usually is not significant, so that means they don't load up a lot on the higher floor, so maybe higher will make more sense for you. Okay, first step is, if we're looking at this stack, check level 1, level 3, level 5. What is the difference in this, right? If it says 5,000 or 8,000, I think it's still okay, right, to consider. Anything above 10,000 is something that maybe low floor will be better for you. Okay, so step 2, I want to look at step 2, look at for example, I'm looking at a 2-bedroom. And there are 2 stacks to this. One, I look at the bay view, non-bay view. That means this one facing north, this one facing south. Is there a premium, right? If the premium is less than 5%, then I think going for the bay view might make more sense. But if you're looking at purely investor mindset, whether a good view will give you more rental, maybe there's a chance that the buyer, the tenant coming in will be willing to pay another $200-300 more. And that makes a bit of a difference in your rental yield. So it really depends. If your bay view is less than 5%, I think okay to consider. Your tenant may be willing to pay a bit more, but if you're budget constrained, you just want to really keep the cost low, you keep your budget a bit lower, that means your outlay is lesser, then I would say go for the non-bay view. Okay, for step 3, right, between these 2 factors, we also want to look at eventually when you look at a tall block of 1 to let's say 40 stories, right? You want to be able to see that at any one point of time there is a significant jump of 30,000, 36,000, right? And then that's where you figure out, let's say your options are over here on this side, right? Then there is no point going for, let's say this is 11th floor and this is 12th floor. There's no point going for 12th floor, and just go for 11 if you have the choice. Okay, so these are some tips and tricks for specific to the developer, right? But of course, if you're looking at other projects, there are different tricks, patterns that the developer does. Let's say CDR or MCR, right? They all have different price strategies, and Kingswood has also their own price strategies. And what I've shared earlier is more of the current pattern since the recent launch. Okay, so I hope this helps for you to be able to come into OMG, look at the pricing first before you decide. But of course, if you have your agent is beside you to kind of look at all these things in good clarity at the first half an hour before you go into the queue to buy, then that's good. But if not, hopefully these tips kind of help you a bit more understanding what steps to take each point of time and seeing what's the price difference before you enter. And of course, coming into the queue, especially when there are a lot of people behind you, and it can get a bit nerve-wracking, right? So understanding this and having good clarity is important, right? So if you're unclear, you want to know a bit more tips and tricks along the way, depending on what developer or what project you're looking at, feel free to reach out as well. Be happy to help you gain some clarity on this. Okay, moving on. Last one, 4 bedrooms. There are no 5 bedrooms in OMG, right? The 4 bedrooms starting from 4.4 million is at 1647 square feet. I wouldn't cover too much about this, but if you're really looking at a 4 bedroom living in a city, then this is actually not too expensive. Okay, but we want to look at if let's say you want to buy and you have a budget, you want to really potentially maybe live in the city next time, but you want to rent out in the short term, the per square foot that you are going at is about $5 to $7 for Marina Bay Suites and Marina One residences. At the same time, something to note is that the 4 bedrooms here are also slightly bigger, right? So there are not many, their 3 bedrooms are like this size, the 1,005 to 1,006 square feet, right? But the 4 bedrooms are much bigger. So if we look at the 4 bedroom pricing today, why I say it's not too expensive is also because the sizes for Marina One residences, 4 bedroom, Marina One, here they're all in the 2,000 plus range, right? As you can see from the renter here on this side, the sizes are all in the 2,000 plus range. So for you to be able to enter OMG at 4.5 million, for example, right, is almost like half of this kind of pricing, right? So these are, I think, mainly for foreigners coming in, really wanting to stay in the city and they want something big, then this is something that they can consider. But now with the current foreigner tax that it has been put on foreigners today, then the people coming in to want to pay this kind of quantum might be lesser. Actually, in fact, last year, since the cooling measure has been put in place, there were less than 100 transactions for resale for foreigners coming in to buy into property. Okay, so OMG entering, yes, 4 bedrooms entering at a lower quantum, right? And whether 4 bedrooms can make a profit. Let's say today you just really want to, you have a budget of 4.6 million and you want to stay in the city, and a 4 bedroom fits for you in terms of layout, in terms of livability. You can see that the 4 bedrooms actually, in terms of the transactions around the area for the sale at Marina Bay, right? They actually make quite decent profit, but of course the holding period is longer. So from a mindset of a investor wanting to exit at a good price, right? One, the entry price has to be very safe. Two, I need to be able to rent out at a good decent yield. If I take a loan, I need to be able to at least cover and also make some positive cash flow, and then I can do something else with the cash that I have every single month. Okay, and yes, 4 bedroom may give you the kind of profit that you might want. Let's say in 10 years you get 1 million profit, for example. While that is true, there may be other options that are shorter term that can give you a little bit more profit in that sense. Okay, so in the CCR region, what I want to talk about is yes, it's more like a rental play, a positive cash flow situation where you can take the additional cash that you have to go and pump into something else that can give you better returns as well, right? So you're getting use on both sides. In CCR, not so much on capital appreciation. While yes, you can get some, but the holding period needs to be longer. Okay, so yes, there are also transactions in the Marina Bay Suites, Marina Bay residences. There are some potential loss. There are some transacted losses where some people actually make a loss of, after holding for 11 years and 9 months, I make a loss of 1.7 million, right? So if you're looking at capital appreciation in this area, I would say it's a bet to take, but it really depends on your objective. So like I mentioned, if you're looking for capital appreciation, if you look in the OCR region, in terms of volume of transactions versus the amount that you get, your profits that you're getting, actually you realize that in the OCR region, the shorter term, 4 years, 6 years, 3 years, you can get almost the same amount of profit, or even better, and at the same time the volume of transactions are healthy. Alright, that means you know that you have a good demand of people coming in. People want to buy into your unit and your development. Then you can be able to see this kind of profit. Like you realize this 5 bedroom here at Jetscape actually make 1.6 million in 6 years, right? So the analyzed profit is actually analyzed returns on in terms of the quantum of the purchase price and the sale price, right? Is almost 6.5%. Yeah. So I would say if you're looking for capital appreciation, this may not be the place. But at the same time, if you're looking for capital appreciation, there are other options out there that you can definitely consider. If you're looking for rental yield, then yes, this is the place for you. Okay. I'm just gonna end on OMG here. A quick summary. This is a rental product, right? So you're talking about rental yield. Like what I've mentioned throughout the whole video. If the baseline of investors that are coming into this area looking at 4%, right? The other second point is layout is not important here. Whether you get the layouts are not bad, right? So coming in, not much complaints and all. Whether 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, I would think just get the smallest, as small as possible. Okay. Marina South will be a new township, right, where the government is trying to input and trying to get more locals coming into the market, right? So a new township effect may sit differently from the other townships, right? For example, if we look at Parktown residences, integrated project, new town, I would say, because it's on Tampines North, where a lot of BTO demand is going to be there. I think there are about 14,000 units there already built in Tampines North area, right? And then in the middle somewhere, they have built the integrated development, right? The integrated development comes with a lot of future demand coming in from the BTO sites where you're used to staying in the area, you want to continue living there, and yet you have a mall, you have your primary schools around the area, you have a hawker centre, and it's fully integrated with healthcare and childcare options along the area to meet the demand of all the people there, right? But in coming to Marina South, where you know that it's more like a rental play, having on-stay buyers might be a little bit hard, right? I think the profile of buyers coming in the CCR region versus RCR and OCR, it's going to be lesser in terms of profile. For example, for East Coast, right, there are preschools, there are good preschools, there is East Coast Park that you can go to, there are good primary schools, there are good secondary schools, there are hawker centres as well, right? So you talk about a whole journey of life. I can stay there from young all the way until I grow old, because there are still options for me in terms of accessibility and amenities, right? Coming to what Marina South is, if you really love living in a city and you want to be living in a city for your whole life, then I think this is something that you can consider, because as a first mover advantage, because there will be more developments coming up and you will get to enjoy the amenities over there, right? But if today you're looking at purely from an investor point of view and you want to keep the quantum low, then yes, this is really like a pure rental product and it can give you good rental yield. So yeah, here coming in as a summary, this is really a numbers game coming into One Marina Gardens. It's important that you know the numbers before you enter and what entry price is safe for you to enter. Okay, so here's my number and my email, social media is also, if you want to WhatsApp me directly, you can also pause this video and scan the QR code. You can reach me directly. You can also give me a call if you want to have a chat about what you think of this project and or of this video as well. So I hope this project analysis helps you, and I'll see you in the next one.